Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So friends, enough talks on spirituality. It's the very first day of the 2026. Let's talk about a topic which actually fascinates all of us, which is about the topic of the wealth. And also friends, because at a time when I'm recording this video, moon is transiting in the Taurus. It is exalted. So somehow the topic which I have selected is in synchronicity with the omens, with the cosmos as well. So friends, in this video we will have our discussion on certain combinations which give extraordinary strength to the planets, which give extraordinary potential and power to your chart. Because imagine those situations where a person who was living on monthly paycheck, and from like being dependent on the monthly paychecks, becoming a founder and owner of multi-million companies, many companies in one lifetime. So even if someone who has got expertise over studying market, studying economy, even that person will not be able to justify that. But astrology can honor that. And friends, let me assure you over here that I will not be talking about some extraordinary, rare to found combination, some sutras which no one has heard about. We will just be sticking to the basics. Even if you have been studying Vedic astrology from like many years, I'm sure that these are the topics which would have been taught to you in the initial few classes only. But just because we have that tendency to always get attracted towards the most shiny things and sometimes overlooking the importance of the basic things. So that is what we will be studying. And friends, this is something which I have seen in my research in the charts of many successful people, like who have actually achieved many things in just one lifetime. So okay friends, and one more thing, I will not be talking about any miracle, I will not be talking about any lottery wins. It's just purely the strength of the planets and the right planetary dasha which made all of that happen. So okay friends, to start with, like whenever I start working on any chart, giving attention to the panchang becomes very important, because if there is any affliction in the panchang, then that means you have already cut down the efficiency of that person, of that life, almost to half of its capacity. So then that means moon shall not be in any affliction in the panchang. I mean to say, like for example, if you're born around the time of the eclipse, you're born around the time of the new moon of the Ashtami, or moon is like at the time of your birth, you have that Bhadra or the Vishtikaran, or there are like some inauspicious combinations forming from the Yog, Karan, Tithi, Var, Nakshatra, then that could be a problematic situation. So person should not have any affliction in the form of the panchang. Now friends, all the combinations which you have to see, all the Raj Yogas and the conjunctions you have to see, you have to study it both from the ascendant and the moon. You cannot just overlook the moon sign, or you cannot just overlook ascendant. You have to give attention to both the ascendant, and the same combinations you have to study from the moon as well. Now friends, the very first thing which you have to give attention is the houses which are responsible for the wealth. I would say that we all know second house is important, 11th house is important, to an extent 4th house is also important. Now if I haven't mentioned the trine houses, so that is self-explanatory, that ascendant is your life force, your life potential, 5th house is your buddhi, your intellect, and 9th house is the divine grace, is the house of the luck. You obviously need these houses to be strengthened no matter in which area of life you are working. But when we talk about scaling up and purely from the wealth point of view, over there, like a second house, 11th house and the 4th house becomes very important. Now why I mention this thing? See friends, 11th house is very important because 11th house opens up the doors of income, popularity, the rise in the life we generally see from the 11th house. Second house tells about your capacity to amass things. So how much is your net worth? Over there, second house plays a very significant role. You might not have the cash in your pocket, but you have those assets which have got some big value. You have that ancestral land in your name, bonds. So all of that we see from the second house. Now friends, why the fourth house? See, fourth house is very important because what I have seen, like, because I come from a government family background. My father was in a government job, and trust me friends, like after my dad's retirement, the house which he bought, so he did not buy it from his savings. Like right at a very early stage of his life, he bought a piece of land, a plot, and the price of that plot or piece of land grew multifold. And at the time of his retirement, he just sold off that piece of land, that plot, and bought an apartment or bought a house where he's currently living. And that is the case with majority of the people. You would have come across people, they have not made that much money in their regular daily job, the kind of money which they end up earning from the land investments. So because of which fourth house very important. Along with that friends, see, even I'm doing astrology, right? But when we talk about any individual's capacity to form an institution, an organization, and where like people start getting together and form it into a big institution, big organization, like all those people who show that beacon of hope, light, and everyone starts getting aligned with their vision. So that capacity of yours, that you have that capacity, that other people are interested in you, everyone is coming together, and with the joint efforts you are building up a brand. So for the brand building friends, our fourth house plays very important. That is the only reason I give emphasis to the fourth house. Obviously when we talk about anything to do with the public domain, public forum, we generally see it from the fourth house. So yes, when we talk about the wealth potential point of view or the rise potential point of view, these three houses plays a very significant role. Second house, fourth house, and the 11th house. Now friends, over here, see, combustion of the planets is not seen as a very good sign. I have not mentioned, like when we talk about the cons, I just talked about the pros, and I'm talking about the cons as well. So when I say that the combustion of the planets is not good, it's just because planets lose out on their strength to manifest results. Like the way I mentioned, when you have any dosha in the panchang, you're born with a affliction in the panchang, then that means you have the intent, you have the opportunity in front of you, but you're not able to capitalize it. Same is the problem which people feel or face who have combust planets in their chart. In this regard, I would not say retrograde planets coming in the way of that. Sometimes with retrograde planet, this is something which you have been building up, earning from past many lifetimes, and suddenly that planet gives you results. Like in a way, for example, a retrograde planet, like you have, if you have Jupiter exalted and retrograde, like for certain lagnas where like Cancer lagna, Jupiter is an important planet, or for example for the Libra lagna, Saturn is an important planet for you. In all these cases, like where a planet is important for you, Raj Yog Karak, Yog Karak, and that planet is exalted and retrograde, that is not at all a flaw. Rather, it becomes like a strength for you. But when we talk about combustion of the planets, it is not considered as a good sign. It will somehow reduce your efficiency or your potential. You were supposed to be a billionaire, or you might have to settle down for less now, because the important planet of yours in their dasha, they were perfectly placed in the chart, but they were combust. So combustion is not a good sign. Friends, along with that, if we are talking about the houses which gives you wealth, so we also have to see the deterrent. What could be the deterrent for that? So the Dushtana bhavas are not at all a good combination. So for example, you have some good combination getting formed in your second house or the 11th house, but your 8th lord is placed over there in the second house. Then that means no matter how much money you will make, but there is going to be a dispute over there. 8th lord in the second house. So I have seen people, they have many land, but they are into dispute as well. There are many people who are claiming their share, or it has gotten into entangled into some sort of dispute. Same is the case 8th lord in the 11th house. So even in your income, there is going to be consistent problems, sudden unexpected problem, because we generally say that 8th house is the house of the accident, of the problems, 6th house is the house of the competition, lawsuit, litigation, and the 12th house is the house of the losses. So I mean to say, if you have good yogas in your chart purely from the wealth potential, I mean to say 4th house, 2nd house, 11th house, but you have like these lord combust, you have 8th lord being placed over there, then this could be a problematic situation. Friends, understand this thing. 8th lord, where it goes, it creates problem in that house. But those people who have strong yogas getting formed in the 8th house in itself. So for example, if you are a Sagittarius Lagna, your ascendant lord is exalted in the 8th house and it is conjunct with moon over there as well. Or this could be a case that if you are a Libra Lagna, you have like Venus exalted in the 6th house. So I mean to say, if you have important combinations and yogas getting formed in the Dushtana Bhava in itself, then this makes you a billionaire. And I'm telling you, some of the charts of the people who are billionaires, in their cases you will see strong strength coming in from the 8th house, because 8th lord has not gone and pulled down the potential of the chart or started creating problems. Rather, the 8th house in itself is generating wealth, and this is a wealth which is creating a legacy. People who become extraordinary, people who touch the scale of the greatness, that generally comes from the 8th house. But the combination is in the 8th house rather than 8th lord going somewhere else and creating a problem over there. So you have to see whether from the ascendant or from the moon sign, how many planets are exalted, how many planets are placed in the friendly sign, and how many planets are placed in the friendly Navmansh. Studying that becomes very important. Now friends, over here comes the most important concept which gets taught in the very first few classes of Vedic astrology, but as we start progressing in our journey, we start getting tempted to see some unique sutras overlooking the potential of the basics. I mean to say, studying the Shodash Varga charts becomes very important, like the 16 divisional chart or the 16 fold charts. Here I am talking about the D1 chart, D2 chart, D4 chart, D7, D9, D10, D12, D16, D20, D24, D27, D30, 40, D45, D60. So you have to see that, let's say for example, when we talk about the concept of the Vargotam. So for example, the Vargotam means the same planet, if it is placed in a specific zodiac sign, if the same planet is placed in the same zodiac sign in the D9 chart as well, then that makes it a Vargotam placement. For example, I am a Aries Lagna in the ascendant chart. If I am the same Aries Lagna in the D9 chart, then that means that is my Vargotam planet. For example, I am Saturn in the Scorpio in the ascendant chart, and the same Saturn Scorpio combination I have in the D9 chart, then that means Saturn is my Vargotam planet. So if you have to study it from the ascendant and the D9 perspective, that is not that complicated, friends. Like all the movable signs, Aries, like Aries, Cancer, Libra, and the Capricorn. So the first Navamsa Pada is the Vargotam Pada. For the fixed signs like Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, it's the 5th Navamansha Pada. And for all the dual signs, it's the 9th Navamsa Pada, is the Vargotam placement. And we also have to study the Pushkara Navmansh Pada as well. So you will see that in the screen, the table I have placed over there. Every zodiac sign has 2 Pushkara Navamsa Pada. So friends, if you have important planets being placed over here, so then that means these planets will become exceptionally strong. So, and along with that, friends, when I say a planet being exalted, the degree of the planet is also very important. That means we know that Sun attains the highest exaltation in the 10th degree of the Aries sign. So Sun just being in the Aries is not sufficient enough. Here friends, we are talking about ascending, like rising from millionaire to billionaire, like that much of wealth potential, and the difference gets created in the degrees only. I mean to say, having moon exalted in the Taurus is not enough. Is moon in the right degree, pure exaltation degree or not? Jupiter being exalted in the Cancer is not sufficient enough. Is Jupiter in the right 4 or 5 degree of the Cancer? Same is the way Mars being in the Capricorn, but is Mars in the right 27, 28 degree of the Capricorn? Then that will give it extraordinary strength. This is where the difference comes. And friends, like the way I was talking about the Shodash Varga chart. So in all those 16 charts, you have to see that how many ascendant are getting repeated. So for example, I am a Aries Lagna in the ascendant chart. In how many divisional chart do I have the same Aries Lagna? Is my D10 chart is also Aries rising? Is my D9 also Aries rising? Is my D16, my D20, my D24, my D60, my D40, are they all Aries rising? In how many of these divisional charts I have a specific planet which is strengthened? So for example, my Sun, is my Sun only strengthened in the ascendant in the D9, or is it repeating the same strength in majority of the divisional chart, like in the D10, in the D12, in the D16, in D60? So then we can say that, okay, this planet is strengthened. So again friends, when you are observing the planet, so a planet being in the exaltation sign or a planet being in a Mool Trikona sign, in the friendly sign, is not suffice. Is the planet, if it is exalted in the chart, is it in the right exaltation degree or not? When you say a planet to be strengthened in the ascendant or in the D9 chart, that's fine. So we are not talking about the regular people. We are talking about people, even imagine I also have the same knowledge and interest and passion for astrology. Why I don't have multiple branches and like centers on my name? My planets are combust. So I have to accept that what I have in my chart. My planets are strengthened in the ascendant chart, D9 chart, some of them in the D60 chart as well, but not in all the Shodash Varga charts, in majority of the Shodash Varga charts. So this is where the difference comes. So that is how you have to see. After that friends, so we have studied about the Vargotam planets, we have studied about the Pushkara Navmansh planets, we have talked about that in how many of these 16 divisional charts you have the planet maintaining the same dignity. If it is being repeated in 3 to 4 charts, that in itself is an indication, a telltale sign that you could be a millionaire. But if it is getting repeated in 8 or 10 charts, then you could be a billionaire as well. And I'm telling you with proper research and proper case studies. After that friends, now comes the question that Shadbal, the planetary Shadbal, you also have to give attention to that. Like generally we say that even in the Shadbal chart, if you will see that the planet has more than 1.5 points, that can be seen as a win-win situation. So a planet in the Shadbal has got the strength. The same planet is your trine lord. It is strengthened in majority of the divisional chart. It is placed in the Pushkara Navmansh Pada. That is where the real strength comes. And when the dasha of that planet will come, it will create the miracle. After that friends, when we talk about the Panch Mahapurush Yoga as well. So Panch Mahapurush Yoga friends is also very important. We know that excluding Sun and Moon and Rahu and Ketu, with other planets, we have excluded Sun, Moon, Rahu, Ketu, and with rest of the 5 planets, if they are placed in the Kendra Bhava, either in their own sign or in the sign of exaltation. For example, Mars, if in the Aries, in the Scorpio, or in the Capricorn, in the 1st house, 4th house, 7th house, 10th house forms the Ruchak Yoga. I always say Kendra Bhavas are very important because they give you groundedness in the life. Like you have that capacity to build many things in the life, leave a legacy. So that generally happens because of the Kendra Bhava. See, trine houses are something till the time you lived, luck supported you, you fulfilled your duties, responsibilities, everyone has seen you with respect, you finished your time on the earth and you departed. But when we talk about the Kendra Bhava, you leave those grounded foundation, people look at those tangible buildings, those things, and they remember you. So Kendra Bhavas are very, very important. After that friends, when we talk about the Shubh-Katri Yoga and the Paap-Katri Yoga. It is also very important, friends. Like I still remember, I was like listening to one of the very senior faculty of the Bharati Vidya Bhavan, and he was giving a lecture on the Prashna Kundli. And he was giving this reference that a chart of a person who was kidnapped came to him, like a person came with a query about a person being kidnapped. When he looked at the Prashna Kundli, moon was in the Paap-Katri Yoga. It's like Rahu on one side and Saturn on another side. So he said that, yeah, he is in danger. So I mean to say, those who do not know about it, Paap-Katri and the Shubh-Katri, simply put, any house into consideration, any planet in consideration. So just because if you are having a discussion on the wealth potential, for example, the 4th house, so then that means if a house before, which is 3rd, and a house after, which is 5th. So if you have benefic planets like Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Moon, a house before and a house after, then this is called as a Shubh-Katri Yoga. But if you have a malefic planet, a house which you are considering, malefic planet before it and after it, then that makes it a Paap-Katri Yoga. Then that means the house potential somehow comes down, tones down. Shubh-Katri means people around you, the life circumstances are going to be favorable for you. Paap-Katri means that you might have people with ill intentions who are all the time surrounding you, and they are the ones who are trying to dig your grave or pull you down. This happens a lot many times in the politics, where everyone around you is eyeing for your throne. So I mean to say, giving attention to the Shubh-Katri and the Paap-Katri Yoga becomes very important. Along with that, friends, for any of those wealth potential to manifest, individually you have to give attention to the moon and the sun. Again, I'm talking about the basics. I'm sure when you would have just started studying, so you would have read about the Anfa Yoga, Sunfa Yoga, Durdhara Yoga, like benefic planet 2nd from the moon, benefic planet 12th from the moon, benefic planet surrounding the moon. So all these combinations they add the wealth potential in the chart. And same is the way when we talk about the Kemdrum Yoga, moon has been left isolated, then that is not a good combination. Same is the case with the sun as well, which gives rise to the Ubhayachari Yoga, Vaishi Yoga. So if you have those combinations, then that means your soul in itself illuminates. So these are few small things, friends, which creates a big difference in the life, the ultimate outcome of the life. Now friends, after that, you also have to give attention to the Ashtak Varga. Ashtak Varga becomes very important. Just on a very first glance on the Ashtak Varga chart gives this brings the spotlight on the specific houses which are carrying the strength. And this is one such rule which has always given me good result. A lot of the times when people ask me this question, Nipun, am I more suited for the job or for the business? When I look at their 6th house and the 7th house, so 10th Lord being strengthened in the 6th house, 6th house in the Ashtak Varga has got more points, which is the house of the job. So you might be in this illusion that you could do better in business, but your chart, your strength are more aligned with the job. And we have seen the cases like Sundar Pichai and many successful jubilant examples where even in the job people make good money without that much stress of paying salary if you have your own business. So I mean to say, in the Ashtak Varga, friends, if you will see the thumb rule, again the basics, we say that in the Ashtak Varga table, from the 10th house, you need to have more points in the 11th house. Then that means whatever efforts you will put in the society as a part of your daily efforts, the rewards will be much more higher than that. So we need in the Ashtak Varga chart more points in the 11th house compared to the 10th house, and less points in the 12th house, so that the expenses which comes and which is seen from the 12th house is less. So more gains, more points in the Ashtak Varga in the 11th, and comparatively less points in the 12th house, which is the house of the expenses or the losses. And again in the 1st house, more points. So that is how you have to see 6th house, and if you will compare that with the 1st house needs to have more points compared to the 6th house. In my Ashtak Varga chart, friends, my 4th house and 9th house, my 9th house has got the most points in the chart. So luck has always supported me. So and especially from the wealth potential point of view, 10 10th and the 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th and first houses you have to give attention, and 12th house supposed to have less points and 11th house supposed to have more points than the 10th house. So this is about the Ashtak Varga. After that, friends, see, you have to also give attention to the Arudha Lagna. Arudha Lagna creates your market perception. People only talk about that Arudha Lagna, which is a mirror of your ascendant. So people say that just looking at the Arudha Lagna chart, give attention and give information regarding your public image. But I would say even from the Arudha Lagna, you have to give attention to the Dhan Bhavas, like second house and the 11th house. Then people get that trust in your capabilities. People will be willing to share your vision, put their money, align with you, or put their efforts, invest in you. If in the Arudha Lagna, you have got good combination in the second house and the 11th house. I'm talking purely from the wealth potential point of view. Also, friends, when we talk about I've already talked about the importance of the land, public. So fourth house, fourth lord, if it is making any combination with the ascendant, like fourth lord, ascendant lord are joined in the trine houses, in the Kendra Bhava, that is a very good combination. You will always get the public support. You will have this capacity with your own diligent efforts to build many assets, build many properties. That is how we see with the combination of the fourth house or the fourth lord. Even if you will see that benefic planets like Venus for the Dhanu Lagna, Venus exalted in the fourth house, or you have Jupiter exalted in the fourth house for the Aries Lagna, this is a very good combination. Also, friends, you have to also give attention individually to the placement of the moon in the chart. Like the way we say, if we are only talking about from the wealth potential. So people who have got good yogas in their second house, like these are those people who are born in the rich family. And let's say, for example, if you have your moon in the second house, and let's say, for example, you are born in the nakshatra of the Jupiter, and your Jupiter is like well placed in the chart. So then that means you will be born in a very wealthy family, and even when you will be young, like you will be a child, your parents, your grandparents will get the benefit of the combinations with which you are born. So then see, this could be a case that you're born with a silver spoon, or this could be a case that the majority of the Dhan yogas of your chart have started giving results to your family, to the sole breadwinner of your family. Friends, my father to this date always say that to me, that when you were born, my life actually turned around. Like why? My father is Aquarius Lagna. I am a Aries Lagna with 5 planets. Like if I will exclude the sun, which is because of the Chalit, I have 4 benefic planets: Moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter in the 11th house. Aries Lagna, in the 11th house in the Aquarius, I have 4 planets. And my father is Aquarius rising. The day I was born, all my planets started supporting the first house of my father, all the benefic planets. So you have to give attention to that. So I mean to say, if you are born with Moon being in the second house, so all the like our subconsciousness, our past samskaras, our memory, everything is stored in the moon, right? We see the world from the lens of the moon. So if moon is in the second house, then this is a combination that you might be born in a wealthy family, rich family. You will get a good start in the life. If you have like moon being placed in the 9th house, we say 9th house, 10th house, we say that when you will be young, especially with the moon in the 9th house, when you will be young, luck will support you in majority of your life endeavors. And you have to give proper analysis of in your youth, in your young age, what kind of people you are, what kind of people are in your life. So this could be the strength of your own chart, strength of the luck, or this could be other people are giving their luck to you to have you fulfill your vision. So moon being in the 9th house, in your youth, in your young age, you will be well supported by destiny. You will be favored by destiny. And we say that if your moon is in the 5th house, you have got some good yogas in the chart, but your favorable dashas are coming in the old age. So this tells about that. And you have got some good Dhan Yoga, Raj Yogas, but the dasha of those planets are coming in the latter half of the life. Once you will be like 50 or after 60 years of the age, so then this is a sign that the true wealth will come through children. So your chart resonates strongly, or you will give birth to a progeny, an extension of yours, which will bring the wealth, and you will enjoy that wealth potential when you will be in the old age. So yes friends, that is what I wanted to highlight. I guess I have covered all the things. We have talked about combustion of planets, Tushtana houses, exalted planets, Vargotam, Pushkara Navmansha, Shadbal, contribution of people in your life, Panch Mahapurush Yoga, Anfa, Sunfar, Durdhara Yoga, Shubh Katri, Pap Katri, Ashtak Varga, Moon's house placement, Arudha Lagna, and we have also talked about the fourth house, fourth lord and all. And also friends, matching it with the Dasha, right Dasha. Dasha actually act like a game changer. See, Dasha is a Hindi word which in English can be translated as the condition. What changes your life condition? It's your planetary period, planetary time period. So yes friends, that is how you have to do the analysis. Again, if you would have paid attention, I did not use any fancy term like when I say Indu Lagna, or this could be the Vedas, the Badhak Bhavas, or some other complicated calculation, or the Anamsa and all. It's very simple friends. If you will even stick to the basics, it will give you very good and the accurate results. So astrology has always been the study of the omens and sticking to the basic. So yes friends, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. I hope you found this video informational. For further more updates and notification on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyavad.